Hi there! My name is Valerie and welcome to my brand new YouTube channel. There we will be discussing different topics, but first of all we will start with fashion and personal development and some modern arts like literature, cinema and theater. Also, we will dive deeper in some of my background because I'm a traveler and I'm really passionate about learning new languages, and I think you can hear it because of my accents. So, the topics here, I promise, will vary much, will be different, and what will stay all the same is my sense of humor, so you must get into it. The first topic we're going to discuss today is the question why modern fashion shows look as they like. I mean, why we see such a huge difference between what we actually see during the fashion shows and what we see when we come to, I don't know, any shop with clothing, accessories, and so on. So we will study the roots of these differences and how can we cope with them being like an average people who are trying to do their best to look good, to feel good in their clothes, in their looks, and how to survive in this fast-moving world with its fast fashion and a lot of pressure from the social media we're trying to cope with. So let's move on. What comes to your mind when you hear the high fashion phrase? If you're familiar with some names, then you maybe can remember some of them, or maybe it is something connected to some scandalous situation which like came very popular and which you could hear from anyone and anything talking about. Or maybe you have really no associations and you're not that familiar with the fashion world. Every fashion brand started and starts till today from the point where some designer just develops his or her talent. So basically the majority of such inventions like fashion discoveries are happening in one's childhood. So many fashion designers were living in a really picturesque places like the south of France or the regions of Spain, which are familiar and famous, world famous I would say, with their colors, with their huge amounts of color used. Not black and white as I am today, but like the rainbow as I am every single day, but not today actually. What makes the designer to happen, to realize their talent? There are different options possible, but mainly they are divided into two camps. So first of the camps, their families have strong roots, they are well known, they have huge amounts of money, so that after the child realized they're interested in fabrics and patterns and in colors and in sewing, maybe in drawing, parents of them just gave them the education they needed to start their career, and that's it. The second camp is more about people who were raised in unfortunate families which were not wealthy, which were mostly poor. So they needed to work hard, and many women of these families, like mothers and grandmothers of our future heroes, needed just to work. They sewed some costumes, dresses, and other pieces for the more for different ladies who were ordering such kind of clothing from them. Okay, we clearly see the designer, their personal histories, and the place of these personal histories. So, but how does they understand that they need to open a brand, open a fashion house, open some kind of atelier? So the designer usually started their careers being a very low-level assistants of designer, or maybe not even connected to designers. They could be couriers, or they could be involved in purchases, many different like entering variations for them. But then they were just appreciated for their unstoppable talent, which overcame their low-level roles and made them visible to the very master grand or like particular house owner, or the main creative designer of this fashion house of the moment. Some of them, after such kind of appreciation, were involved in creation of collections, like partially, or even became creative directors of the collections themselves. So they had a really good implementable practice. That's the most important part here. So they came to these fashion houses as nobody from nowhere, but they studied during their working time here, and then there were also two most famous vectors of their development. So the first one was to continue working at this proper fashion house and open their own line or brand, and within continuing working here at the first brand, they are like alma mater. That's the quite rare case, because it is really energetically consuming process of creating. So we can just simply calculate this. So every brand have the obligation to show at least 4 collections per year, and that's nothing. So the majority of brands, of modern brands, are doing even more. They are showing like 8 collections per year, because we have winter, spring, summer, and fall, and we have mid-seasonal collections. The second vector of the development of a newborn designer is just to skip working with the alma mater brand and just to fully switch to their own brand and creation of many lines. As the brand started, it needs customers for sure. How do we start promoting every fashion brand? So we need either a scandal or a just grand picturesque show that will like open the new era, make the brand something not only visible, not only like outspoken, but it should become just furious and inevitable. Okay, let's take a step back. If a person, designer, is not very well known and starts his own brand, he or she for sure needs some fundings, because it is a very common thing that all these fashionable specialists are also having huge salaries, and that they have just a lot of money to get from their pockets and to start their own brand. But it's a huge myth. People who is involved in the fashion creation are like one of the most underpaid specialists in the world, really. And we will talk about this myth once or maybe twice or more, but in a different videos. Just like a fun fact for now. For sure, any kind of specialist and the creative designer itself needs money to open their own line, brands, etc. They need specialists, they need materials, and they need promotion. Where and how they are getting all this stuff? For sure, networking. So if they are quite familiar, if they become quite famous and quite well known in the fashion industry, if they had possibility to become friends with some influencing people, like inside the fashion world, bingo! They will have a good support, they will be promoted well, and so on. So, but if they are not welcomed here, it's a huge problem. They need to find some kind of donors or some kind of just wealthy friends to help them raise their first year, maybe first 2 years shows. Every art needs to be paid for, so it is not only about the networking itself, but it is also about finding great sources in yourself to make this development and make this brand's race possible. This all is kind of lyrics. It's like prehistory to our big question, isn't it? Here we can return a little bit to our main question. Okay, we can see brands like modern Balenciaga. You for sure will be familiar with it, even if you are not in the fashion guy at all. But you're laughing out loud of these memes based on the Balenciaga fashion shows. And I can clearly see the reason of it. It is scandalous, it costs too much, and it is just not possible to wear, you would say, in a daily basis. But let me choose the brand Moschino just to give you a great example of what really happens during the fashion show and a little bit after. Let's visit Moschino's recent fashion show gallery first. Okay, I'm just opening their site, so I would say that it is quite it's not quite, it's too adequate for this brand. And it will make our curious case even more interesting to analyze. Let me introduce you Moschino as a brand first of all. So it is a very eccentric and very colorful brand, which is based mainly on the idea of criticism of the fashion industry as a whole. If you can't overcome something or like fight something, then leave it. Moschino is trying to do, and this brand is very successful in their willing to ruin this stereotypes and this glamorous like limbo of the fashion industry. Let me choose this look from the internet shop of this brand. What we see here is that it is an average cotton top that is pretty wearable. So I can clearly see it mixed with the jeans or with any kind of skirt. So it's totally okay, and you can just refuse painting these colorful circles on yourself, and it will be an average white cotton top. Okay, so yeah, we can proceed with this look also. So what we can see here, the top with some kind of letters and words, okay, and here we go. We have a leather skirt, which is like rephrase of a leather jacket. So we have leggings here, and if we use this kind of leggings under the skirt, even if we try to do this with particular such printed colorful leggings, it won't be that, you know, that sharp. It will be just like leggings with a skirt. It will be a good choice for the average day of a like everyday life, to walk your dog, to come to the grocery store, whenever, for almost any dress code. I mean, not office wear for sure. They're quite colorful, but you know, this is still Moschino's production. Let us choose something even more average, which shouldn't be that exciting during the fashion show, on the contrast to the internet site, internet shop of this brand. So let me choose Victoria Beckham, which is basically can be compatible in terms of stylizations used on the fashion shows and on their internet shopping lookbook. So we can choose this beautiful example of a cocktail dress. So it is quite a pret-a-porter, but we can see the huge difference between two pieces we see on the fashion show, on the podium, and on the side. What do we see during the fashion show? The dress has semi-transparent fabric, which makes the silhouette a little bit visible. We have a small idea of the body, so it looks really sexy, don't you think? What we can see here in the fashion, in the brand's lookbook for purchase ready. Fabric is not semi-transparent. It's not transparent at all, and we don't see any kind of lines which are used to make this form, to make the silhouette of the dress, and it doesn't intrigue. It don't consist of the separate details we are trying to figure out, you know. The interesting look basic rule is something is interesting until we want to figure out how it's done. We want to figure out every detail. We want to have a deeper glance at every detail. We want to figure out the main thought of this look. And here we see the contrast of this semi-transparency of the dress and this very casual shoes used on the podium version versus we see non-transparent dress in the shopping lookbook. And by the way, they tried to make it more gorgeous, more fashionable, styling it with these glamorous pieces, with these shoes on the heels and so on. But it is not working. Basically, the dress overall is lost on this shot. Do you feel it? So we could possibly pay attention to these heels more than to the dress. And I would say that maybe it's not a mistake, maybe it's an intention of the stylist, but I would say that the change of fabric changed the overall vision, overall idea of this particular piece, of this particular dress. So what option of this dress would you choose and why? Please share your ideas, because it's quite clear what option would I choose. For me personally, semi-transparent for sure. But I'm interested in your argument, so let's discuss it further in comments. Okay, that's the time for conclusions. We've discussed some details and differences between what we see during the fashion shows and what we see in actual internet shops or pret-a-porter lookbooks of such brands as Moschino and Victoria Beckham. And we've touched a little bit the overall vector of development of a particular designer or his or her particular fashion brand, fashion house. The main conclusions would be such. First, yes, clothing and accessories will possibly differ from what we've seen during the fashion show on the podium. And it will differ from what we see in the internet shops lookbooks or what we will see when we came to particular brands offline shop. And brands are sometimes forced to use some different fabrics or make the pieces themselves look more familiar, even simpler, I would say. So yes, the brands, every brand tries to sell as many pieces of clothing, of pret-a-porter, ready-to-wear clothing, not something unique, because the myth number 2, the most famous myth about fashion brands number 2, is that their main income comes from the selling of unique pieces. For sure, they can be extra expensive, but that's not the main income source for brands. Accessories perfume lines and sometimes cosmetic lines and pret-a-porter lines make the majority of any brand budgets. If we're not talking about the brands which are highly luxurious themselves, like dresses of I don't know, Zuhair Murad will be totally exclusive and they have no pret-a-porter lines. So yes, brands need to redo their main model's idea to make it more wearable, more unified, more acceptable by the majority of possible buyers, of possible consumers. The very risky pieces can be sold to some familiar people, to some famous people who will make an additional advertisement every time he or she wears this piece of clothing. I'm not promoting the luxurious brands. I was just like introducing the idea of what fashion show is on a very like basic level, what the purpose of it and what use can it be for people who are interested in them. And for the rest who are still not going to probably waste their time watching fashion shows, I would say that it's not something very necessary, because you just can you can figure out the main trends just coming to average shops. But we will return to this main point in our next videos. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe and turn on notifications, because I'm going to publish new videos from time to time. I would say on a regular basis, and it won't be connected only to fashion. I suppose that it will be an interesting adventure both for me and for us. So let's stay in touch. Bye!